Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of our third season as the Crawley Town Supporters Alliance Simply Reds podcast. My name is Reuben and I'm joined by Louie. You alright, Louie?
Good evening. Hi, Reuben. Yeah, all good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm not doing too badly, thanks. We had a nice off season.
Yeah, it feels like it's been pretty short. We were just saying before we hit record that it doesn't feel like that long since we did the last podcast of last season. Yeah, it's been nice to. It was nice to have a couple of quiet weeks when it comes to Crawley until the recent transfer activity. So yeah, it was a much needed break.
Yeah, and I'm joined by Sam. You alright, Sam?
Not bad, thank you, not bad. 3 months since the last podcast. I don't mind talking about it. I haven't been very well. Had a few serious health issues, but I think it's interesting. If you look at what's happened the last few months, obviously, I know you guys spoke about it, but we lost obviously a big, massive Reds fan in Ken Blackmore, who, yeah, I think loads has been said about Ken. Fantastic volunteer for the club, huge character from a CTSA point of view, running the coaches. I personally have been on soccer AM with him, and from a few trips to hospital myself, I was actually due to go and see him the day after he passed away. So, yeah, and when people have been asking about my health, I've kind of been saying, well, at least I'm around. At least I'm around, and because people like Ken obviously are now passed on, it's obviously devastating, but it's been nice to kind of reminisce and look back on videos of Ken talking to Mark Dunford at MK Dons after the record playoff win, and then obviously Ken got his day at Wembley, and I think it's really important just to talk about how well I think the club honoured Ken. I thought they'd done a fantastic job. The minute silence, even Shrewsbury Town put something in their programme, whether it be flowers outside, minutes of applause to the Northampton fans as well, and yeah, I think that was, and Ben and Ken Sam was sat in the front row in front of me, and it was very emotional. And yeah, a fantastic tribute to a fantastic man that many people will miss. And hopefully we're going to do something next season to honour him as well, which if we can pull off, we'll talk about further down the line. But yeah, and kind of moving on, Pan obviously on the day that we kind of celebrated Ken was fantastic, walking around with a Ken #1 shirt. Which I thought was fantastic because obviously Pan's been around a couple of times, and Ken had some great stories about Pan. I hope Pan doesn't mind me sharing little nuggets about how Pan used to phone Ken and get him to come around and help him with his house when things didn't go quite so right, and just you can just imagine the character Pan is, and kind of Ken turning up in the middle of the night and helping him out. So yeah, obviously we send our best wishes to Ben's family. Ken's family, Ben and the family, and yeah, hopefully Crawley Town going forward will do Ken's name in honour the best it can.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fitting tribute, wasn't it, on that day of the last game of the season. We as a CTSA and some others laid some flowers outside by his name on that Reds wall. Of course, we've got that minute applause. And yeah, it's a fitting tribute by Panuche Kamara. So, talk about Panuche. I think, to a lot of people's surprises, he's headed off to Scotland. It's probably hopefully he finds a local handyman up there, because I don't think anyone from Crawley will be willing to go up to Dundee to go fix whenever his boiler breaks or something. So he's gone to join Dundee United. So he's gone from the chance of playing at Barrow to playing European football. I think
Barrow is European football, isn't it?
It feels like it, how far away it is.
A long way away from us, mate. Anyway, as someone said to me, what about Newport County?
That's true.
I mean, like, he's missing out on all these long distance away games to Wales and what was virtually Scotland. But yeah, fair play to Pan. I just hope he goes to the right Dundee. He didn't turn up at the wrong Dundee.
I mean, yeah, because he'll also be playing like the likes of Celtic, Rangers. So I mean, yeah, I know people are like, oh, why are we getting rid of players like Panuche? I mean, but when you've got the chance to play in the Scottish Premier League on TV most weekends, play at some huge stadiums. I don't think you can really turn down that. Though he's going to get used to the weather.
Mark Connolly used to play for Dundee United, and obviously he would have been playing a lot of those old firm teams as well. And I can imagine that when you play for Crawley, with all due respect, in front of 4,000 people, and then you go into Ibrox and Celtic Park. I mean, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? So, yeah, fair play to Pan. It's been an interesting reaction to Pan, I thought, because a lot of people aren't bothered, which I was quite surprised about, because albeit he wasn't our star player last season, but he did play a lot of games. So he played a lot of games in League One. I'm pretty sure we got relegated, but he wasn't our worst player by a long way. So, and obviously the club stated, didn't they, when obviously he left, that they did offer him a new and improved deal, and Pan chose not to take it. And it looks like we're on a free transfer. It's a bit of annoying, because obviously clubs get no income from that, do they? So, but yeah, Pan's had 2 stints with us, 2 very different stints. Obviously, first stint coming from Dutch Hamlet, playing up front. And I think, like I said before, I actually couldn't believe it when he went left. I was like, he ain't even that good. Why has he gone on to... It was Plymouth at the time, wasn't it? I was really surprised, but fair play to him. He forged a career, went to obviously Charlton after that, didn't he? Did he play Ipswich? Ipswich and Charlton, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, look, he's a great character. He's a great professional. He works really hard, and fair play to him. Like, who am I to criticise him? He's done a fantastic job. So, but he wasn't the only one that left, was he, chaps?
He was not. Nicely said, Sam. We also lost Russian Hepburn Murphy to our twin club, Milton Keynes, which, again, probably took people as a bit of a surprise. I mean, he probably could have got away with still playing for a League One club, I think, because he did well in the relegated League One club for us last season. But I think, again, for people, it's just a bit of a stab in the heart, him going to MK Dons. But I think after seeing some of the signings that MK are making this season so far, they're really going to be pushing for that league title. And no doubt Rush is probably on a bit more money than he would have been at Crawley.
Yeah, I think on MK, if they don't
Money
win the league,
talks.
if they don't win the league, it's probably a little bit embarrassing for them. But yeah, and also if I mean, I've seen, I don't know how true this is, it probably isn't, but I've seen 500 grand as the reported fee, and if it's anywhere close to that, to be honest, I think we've done pretty good business considering. I think we bought him in on a free from Swindon, or we certainly wouldn't have paid a lot of money for him from Swindon, and so to kind of get that sort of return on him, especially, I don't think it's the sort of money you can turn down if you're Crawley. I'd be very surprised if it is that much, but
I'll be astounded.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it and I thought that can't be right, but if it is anything even remotely close to that, then I think we've done pretty good business. Because, I mean, he did, like you say, Reuben, he did well in a relegated side last year, but he was a little bit inconsistent. He wasn't always at his best, and he's certainly not irreplaceable in that sense. Even though I think everyone would have liked to have kept him, because you could see him scoring 18, 20 goals if he's fit and firing this season. But that was another issue, his fitness and his availability. And that's not exclusive to him. We had a lot of injury issues last year. But, yeah, I think it is obviously frustrating to lose the players that we have done. We'll go on to talk about some of them in a bit more detail, I expect. But this doesn't feel quite like it did last year, where suddenly the team was ripped up in the space of a couple of weeks. It does. Obviously, it's not ideal with some of the players being out of contracts and selling players like Russian and Armando, but it doesn't quite feel like it doesn't have that same feeling to it. It feels like we are trying to keep these players. We offered Pan a new contracts. There's no way we would have really. I mean, if Scott has got the final say on transfers, as we see, as appears to be, then you can't imagine he would have wanted to lose Russian. But if we've got good money for him, and if he's going to be on more money at MK, then again, that's the nature of football. Armando was always going to go after what happened in January, and again, he's going to the top end League One club, so you can't blame him, and we would have got some sort of money for him as well. So it's not. I don't think it's quite the same as last summer, where you knew that certain players didn't really want to go and were sort of they were unnecessary sales in case of 2 or 3 of them. So yeah, it doesn't quite feel the same.
I've got a theory, chaps. I've got a theory. I think they are making way in the wage budget for the likes of Liam Kelly to return, Danny Rossi to return, and Jay Williams to return. Look at those 3 players in isolation. Orsi wasn't favoured at Burton. Might have to take a pay cut to come back, but like Scott was successful under Scott. Who else would be interested in him? Probably have League Two clubs, yes, because he performed in League Two a couple of years ago, but would probably pick us, knowing Scott. And then you look at Liam Kelly. Scott plucked him from relegated Rochdale, didn't he? And kind of gone to MK, but there's other players ahead of him now, especially the money MK are spending. And then Jay Williams, Jay Williams, I think, is a fantastic character. Obviously, a lot of noise around some of his maybe bad behaviour, but I think he's just a true winner. But he's actually had a new knee replacement 14 weeks ago, so that'd be a big gamble. But I do wonder whether, if you look at the players, as you mentioned, Louis, Malarkey wasn't really going to start, so if we just take a nominal fee for him to get him off the wage bill. Hepburn Murphy, I agree with you, he was our better striker, but didn't set the world alight. Armando was always going to go in January. The paper didn't work out well, or whatever you want to believe from that story. And then obviously Wickham come in, and then you've obviously got Pan, and there's one more I'm missing, isn't there, who's left? I'm missing one there. But three of those players were in our starting 11 last year. So from that point of view, that is a concern. But I do wonder if in the background we're kind of trying to make way for some other players. And my theory about those three, if we did bring one or two of three of those back, I don't want to put it down on them. I think it's big risk. I'll say it's big risk. I think if they come back and they play as they did last time, everyone's going to be raving about it. Fantastic, great bit of business, well done, everyone. But if they don't, they're going to be under pressure to perform themselves as individuals. Scott's going to be under pressure to get the best out of them. And if they don't come off, people are going to go, well, I would have rather have had Pan, or I'd rather have had Rush, or I'd rather have had whoever. So it'll be interesting. I could be totally wrong, and there's a long way to go. But it's interesting here because players are back to training on, and we're recording this Sunday night, so players are back to training tomorrow. And Scott made a big thing about going to Spain and getting the squad together and kind of building that team togetherness. But we've signed 2 players and lost a few on top of who's released, and the 6 contracts have been offered. No one knows what's going on. Are they going to rock up tomorrow for testing? Have they got deals elsewhere? I mean, someone said to me the other day, how much money are Crawley Town going to spend on changing names on the flights to Spain? That costs a fair few bob, doesn't it? So,
you're assuming we're organised enough to have booked them yet, so
I hope so. They get their boat over, and then you look at. I'm quite surprised Scott hasn't strengthened his coaching staff, because you think at the start of last season there was him, goalkeeping coach, assistant manager, which we've got now, but then there was also on top of that Carl Larron and Ben Gadwin. So we're 2 people short. Oh, and Haffey as well. So in fact, 3 people short. So maybe he wants to run one short, fair play. But I'm really surprised at least one person has to come in, especially when the likes of Dagenham and Eastbourne have appointed people and got their assistant managers in quickly. Other teams, not necessarily at our level, but local to us. I'm just quite surprised. I'm really intrigued as to why that's taken so long. Is it going to happen? So we're going to Spain, spend all this money for a team building exercise. I'm pretty sure it's another week before we fly. Not going to happen next week, so it could be speaking too early. But where are these people to have the bonding? So it's interesting. And obviously the kit man's left as well. So who's going to be the kit man for picking up all the balls and cones? So he's gone to Burnley, hasn't he? And he's obviously based up north, so fair play to him, wants to move close to home. But yeah, the kitman job must be a tough job, and it's not very well paid. And obviously, unless you want to slide across Wembley dressing floor naked, there's not many perks, is there? So,
I mean, that's another one. Would you rather be working at Crawley or at Burnley in the Premier League, where you get to go to places like the Emirates and Old Trafford and everything? Like, it's especially close to home as well. That's another no-brainer.
And you mentioned, Louis, earlier about how you think this is different to last time the players left. And I agree with you to an extent, because but also they're all going on to better things. Toby Malarkey lives up north, same level. But for personally, for him going better things. Rush and Murphy, definitely a massive pay rise for him. Armando staying in League One. Pan going to play European football. There's someone else I'm missing. I can't remember the 5th one is yet. But they're all going on to better things, aren't they, for themselves? So fair play to them. But people are nervous, aren't they? Because if we're honest about it, there's been really a lot of engagement from the club as there since May the 3rd when Preston released a statement about the aim to get to the Championship and the multi-year plan that will come out. There's been a lot of engagement. What kit are we in next year? I mean, other clubs have gone on sale with their kit, let alone what they're wearing, but we haven't even got the kit. The kit's not even in the UK yet. You can tell that by the players signing his announcements. So, yeah, the club been really quiet. And part of me thinks, is that just poor engagement, or are they trying to do actions speak louder than words? I don't really know. It would be interesting, because their fan engagement plan said they were going to have an end of season fan engagement session, which didn't happen. So, yeah, it's all a bit quiet, and obviously everyone takes the mick out of the club for the Carabao adverts when they come out. So obviously, trying to sell the energy drinks, which obviously the club have got to do because of the sponsorship agreement. But all very quiet, and I don't know whether that's. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued as to why that is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot happen this week. I would
it'll be a big
expect
week.
purely because a couple of players have left. I'd be very surprised if we don't get at least one or two faces in before the players fly out to Spain, which I think you said Sam was in a week's time or so.
30th they go.
Yeah, I think they've
Yeah,
got a week in the UK, and then they've got they fly and go out for a week, haven't they?
yeah. I
Mhm.
mean,
Um,
there's no point doing it if you haven't got most of the squads that you want in place. And I imagine there's still players. If you look at the squad, there's still players who you'd be very surprised if they were in Scott's plans. No disrespect to
yeah,
guys like Will Swan or Tola Shawunmi, but they didn't. They barely. I mean, Tola didn't get a minute under Scott. Will Swan maybe. I don't even think he played half an hour of football under Scott.
yeah.
So you'd be surprised if they were here in come August, come the start of the season. So, and then that means there's probably eight or nine players that you'd need to come in. You probably want another forward. You want a couple of midfielders. You mentioned Luke
Yeah,
Kelly and Jay Williams. Definitely some two wide players and maybe a couple of centre backs and a goalkeeper as well. If Jojo's not going to be the number one next season, which
yeah.
perhaps you might be surprised if he is, based on last season. So yeah, it's really intriguing. There's still 6 weeks before the season starts. There's still two and a bit months of the transfer window, so lots can happen in that time, as we know. But
Yeah, and we're not really sure on the recruitment strategy, are we? Because Scott came out, didn't he, in the local press and said that kind of they're going away from the data model approach to kind of getting eyes on players and knowing players. And I quite like the Reece Brown and Harry McCurdy signings because Scott knows them and they've got 1 year deals. Kind of feels like a bit of incentive, doesn't it? Come in, play well for you, and you get a bigger deal. But then Preston comes out in the local media and says, "Oh no, we're expanding on our data model." And it kind of, when you read it several times in isolation, they're definitely contradicting themselves. So that's interesting. Hopefully all is well, and because obviously Scott's already left once, we wouldn't want to leave him to leave again. But I thought that was interesting. Obviously Danny Cashman as well, bit of a punt really, done well in National League South. For those fans who've been watching Crawley for a while, I remember we signed Smith Ellenon, another Brighton graduate, another local lad. Didn't really set the world on fire for us. So hopefully Danny's the opposite, and other people have used Ashley Nadeson as a similar story in terms of how he's local lads well. But hopefully Danny Cash gets opportunities and he takes them because it's a good punt, isn't it? Too, there won't be loads of money. Hasn't played full-time professional for a while, but definitely worth a go.
Yeah, let's just quickly mention the three players that we have signed. So Harry McCurdy, ex-Swindon, is probably known to be a bit of a, I don't say troublemaker, but he's one of those players where you absolutely hate him when character, that's a better way of putting it. You absolutely hate him when he's on the opposition team. But when he's on your team, you can absolutely fall in love with him. Went up to play up at Hibs in Scotland, and I don't think he really got on up there. Then came back down here, was on loan, I believe, to Bromley towards the end of last season. Then you had Reece Brown, who somebody was saying was on trial towards the end of last season with us.
He was, yeah. Training with us, yeah.
Ex-Forest Green Rovers, has also previously played for Huddersfield. Then you got Danny Cashman as well, ex-Worthing. There's a very mixed reaction on social media about Danny joining us. I think some people think he's also a bit of a character as well. And so, yeah, I'd be interested to speak to some of those people who think who aren't too sure about Danny signing for us.
I mean, he's unproven, isn't he? But Lolos is unproven. Little Olos do, and Joe McKenna and Jay Williams, all these players in National League, South and North, who went on to do well. Charlie Barker, National League, jumping with Wolves fans. So I think we've got to give him a chance. I think it's worth a punt, isn't it?
Yeah, expanding on what you said there, Sam, about kind of giving them a chance. It is interesting that people, bearing in mind that some of the players that we've brought through over recent years who have come from National League South, even like a lower level, who've done really well for us and been players that the fans have really loved and taken to, and they've put in really good performances for us. And yet some people, you see a lot of comments on Twitter and whatnot saying, "Oh, we'll get rid of X player and then we'll just replace them from someone with the National League." And it's like, have we not learnt from like there's so much talent in the National League. We should know that more than most. You look at guys like Max Waters, who he was on trial at, what was it,
Maidstone.
Maidstone, where we signed him and then sold him for £1 million. Look at, Jay Williams, Clyde Lawless, like you said. That's just off the top of my head. Like, we're not above signing players from the National League. No one, it's not. It's basic. The National League is basically as good as League Two, especially at the top end of the National League. So it is interesting that people. I know Cashman's come from National League South, but even then, there's still some really good talent there. But we're not above. And especially with the budget limitations that we'll have, we're not the biggest club in the league by any means. We're not an MK. We can't go and spend 850 grand on Aaron Connolly and sign good players from the league above. We have to recruit smartly. We have to try and find these players where we can. And I think players like Cashman, we have to kind of take a punt on them. And if they don't come off, it's pretty low risk in terms of he won't be on a lot of money. We won't have paid a fee for him. And if he does come off, if he does play well for us, he might get us promoted. We'll get some good money for him in the future. That's just how we have to operate as a club. It just baffles me that people think we're above signing good non-league players, because chances are there'll be good League Two players, as we've seen.
I do agree. I think the grumblings are where we need to get the balance right between the experience and then these gems from non-league. I mean, if you look at, I appreciate you guys done the end of season review, but you look at the likes of the Exeter away, 4-1 up, draw 4-all, Bolton away, 3-1 up, lose 4-3. If we'd had experienced players in those games, we probably might even be talking about a League One season this season. So I think there's nervousness around getting the balance right, especially when players have gone who have got Football League experience. Who are we going to replace them with? So I do get both sides. I think we need to give Scott's come back because part of the deal was he'd have more say on transfers. As you both rightly point out, it's a long way to go to in the window. I think we've got to give it time. I just think probably it's the engagement bit that's a bit strange while that's going on, because there's no new kit to talk about, etc. Haven't really heard from the ownership and look, and fair play. I drove past the ground on, I think it was Thursday or Friday, and they're sorting out the paint issues on the ground. They've done the away terrace. They've sorted that out, and I believe there's a deal with a local company, which is fantastic. I don't know if that involves sponsorship, but I think that's quite fantastic. They're sorting that out. And the band haven't shouted about it yet, which is fine, but I think they deserve credit for that. Season ticket sales, saying they're in line with last year. I think it's great they've extended the early bird, makes sense. Keep the deadline for people securing their seats, but extend the early bird, why not? And it would be fantastic if we kept the same amount or increased on last season. Bear in mind, obviously, that was off the back of Wembley and a League One campaign. And it would be interesting. And if we sell the same amount with the cost increasing, that's fantastic because there's more revenue for the club. So they are doing some good stuff. But yeah, it'd be good to hear from them more. Obviously, we touched briefly upon Preston's statement on May the 3rd. Apparently there's a multi-year plan with the aim to build the club ready for the Championship. I'd love to hear more about that, because I think infrastructure-wise we're miles away. So I'd be interested to hear what the plan is. That obviously, new club shop. I've got to mention that there's a new club shop being built. So, and actually, if I'm honest with you, I remember going to the club shop as like a 10, 11-year-old, and now I'm late 30s, and it was the same. So they've obviously seen that as an opportunity, and they're right. It is like you can't be selling thousands of shirts which they want to sell in that tiny corner. So it'd be interesting what that's like. Will that bring more space, more merchandise? Obviously, you guys probably have spoken about it, but obviously Ben departed, didn't he? We've got a potentially new CEO come in. And I just want to say, I think it's really important. I know I've kind of probably their biggest critics, and probably people maybe are interested in my opinion on them at present. But I think it's important for me to point out that when I wasn't very well, both Preston and Ben reached out to me to send me their best wishes. So I think credit where credit's due. Obviously, that's a personal thing, but that they did that, and I did appreciate that. So that doesn't mean I'm going to stop asking them questions of what I think and maybe raising things that concern me. But fair play to them, and they have to do that, and I've got a lot of respect for that. Ben only had 1 year in football. I hear from several different directions Ben was forced out by WAGMI. We'll never know whether that's true or not, I suppose. Interesting whether Ben finds another job in football or goes elsewhere. Obviously, Ben mentioned in his leaving statement about a multi-year sponsorship deal, front of shirt, I believe, which is record-breaking. So we're going to see what that looks like. So, yeah, there's some stuff happening off the pitch, but I'd just like to hear more, because you look at other club social media platforms, there's loads going on, isn't there? And maybe it's because players aren't back. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're a bit nervous about doing positive stuff when players leave. I don't know. But, yeah, it'd be good to hear more from the club.
I think one of the issues is, I know you can't really help with the timings of some of the transfers, but we saw this week it was 2 players leaving. Was them 2 separate days? Both Rush. 3 people have left this past week, haven't they? It was Rush, Kamara, and Armando.
On the 20th of June, 2 players left, didn't they? One in the morning and one in the evening. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And that's when they should then be timing it here we're signing XYZ player. I know they can't always help it because they've also got the other club to have to agree with to dates and stuff. But I should imagine this week will be a huge week for Crawley. I mean, we've got 6 players who we still don't know if they're signing contracts. Dion Conroy, Harry Forster, Liam Fraser, Ryan Sanford, Jeremy Kelly, Joey McKenna. And I should imagine we'll get an announcement before they potentially fly off to Spain.
Yeah,
and also
or even like a sneak peek of the club shop, and look, I said to someone the other day, right? I'm a Crawley Town fan. I've been a dad for 10 years. I've never had a Crawley Town shirt for the new season on Father's Day, ever. And I saw a few clubs manage to give out Father's Day, and I thought, imagine if Crawley Town could do that one year, get them on sale start of June, or even just mid-June, so people can buy them for Dad's Father's present. And it's not just aimed at Wagner, because being the ownership group for, we've never, ever, ever, as a Football League club, got our kits on sale at a decent time. And it's just so frustrating. I don't understand what the root cause of it is, but it'd be good to find out the learnings, because I think it's also a bit embarrassing to have new players not even being put in the new shirts. So, yeah, it'd be good to mix it up with a bit of positivity, but hopefully there's some more to come.
On the plus side, at least our football shirt won't look like a Wetherspoons plate, like things.
See, I don't mind the Reading shirt. I actually
I quite like it.
I don't think it looks too bad, but I know what you mean about the.
You both love Wetherspoons.
Oh, do you know what? I don't remember the last time I was in a Wetherspoons, surprisingly. But, yeah.
But shout out to Gillingham's shirt. I think it's an incredible home shirt that they've got. I'm a little bit jealous of that.
And they tweaked their badge. They tweaked their badge to the away shirt, which interestingly went down really well. Yeah, people have to have a look at the Gillingham badge for me to describe. But it's basically it's got like a Kent horse on it, I believe. I might be wrong now. And they've basically just taken the Kent horse out of the badge and just used that, and everyone loved it. I think there was a bit around loving the kit as well. And obviously, it's well spoken about that our third kit's going to have a new badge this season, so we'll just see how that goes down. So yeah, I as you get to the end of June, the players come back and the fixtures come out and kind of kits come out. You start to get the excitement building, don't you? Hopefully there'll be a few new players. So just on the fixtures, Reuben, we're going to do it. I'll keep calling it Twitter. We're going to do an X Spaces, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We're going to try one. Hopefully it's more successful than last time. We did it.
Yeah, we're going to try 8 p.m. on the Thursday. So go and get your old kit from last season for £10 a shirt, 6 to 8, and then log on to X. And we're just going to talk about the fixtures. I think it's interesting. It's midday this year. I quite like the fact it's midday. EFL fixtures get released. 2:30 the Virtue draw, 4:30 the Carabao Cup draw. Everyone will start penciling their diaries the games they want to do.
Yeah. You've got to be a bit more careful nowadays, don't you, with penciling in dates because of the changing in TV scheduling and whatnot.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting because last season, I'm not saying we're a big fish in a small pond now, but last season, obviously, we're never going to be like the first TV pick. But this year, potentially, especially with some local games against Barnet, Bromley, Gillingham, all those sort of local games, we might get picked a bit more, and especially if we start well or maybe strengthen our squad to an extent where we end up being one of the favourites next season. Because people are talking about us as favourites, the club are, the manager is. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Fans are. Like, I saw one fan tweet saying that we're going to win the league.
I mean,
which is unusual.
We're not going to win the league. I did see it was maybe 2-3 weeks ago now, but there was a lot of early shouts for us being one of the favourites of promotion. And even though I do think that should be our aim to try and get straight back up, it was interesting to see that perspective from fans of other teams who maybe wouldn't have seen us play much or wouldn't know what to expect. I mean, God knows what the squad's going to look like come August, whether we'll have a stronger squad than we've finished last season with, but yeah, going back to the transfers and so I think the part of the frustration is people felt like if we just kept this squad together, we'd be right up there because it was clearly a team that was playing like a mid-table League One team towards the end of the season. I've just got, and you kind of think if you translate that to the level below, you should be by far one of the 3 best teams in the league. So I think the fact that we've lost a couple of key players as well as a couple of other players there's probably a bit of like this feels like a missed opportunity. I think that's where some of that frustration comes in. But going back to the fixtures, I'm pretty sure we will be starting away from home, purely because of the way the fixtures line up. Brighton are away on the 16th of August, and so that means our first game on the 2nd of August would be away from home, I believe, because we don't tend to play at home on the same day as Brighton because of policing. I think that's.
I,
I
I
could be
did have
wrong.
a look at it. I did have a look at this, Lou. You could be absolutely bang on. You could be bang on, but also there was a few weekends last season. I think we did play on the same weekend. Not necessarily
Quite
same
possibly, yeah.
day, not necessarily same day, but the same weekend. So,
Yeah,
and also it's not always, is it? Home away, home away. The
that is
weekends don't
true.
always
Yeah.
replicate that. Sometimes they do two in a row. It's funny. So um, there's loads of Premier League leaked fixtures, like loads of them. And I saw loads of them, and I remember, and after the Premier League fixtures came out, I remember looking at a couple of them to see if any of them were accurate, and none of them were accurate. I got sent a EFL leaked one, and it had us away at the Shrewsbury first game. And the first thing I thought about was, I thought two things. One, it ain't going to be true because the Premier League one's wrong. But I also thought, we had Shrewsbury away last game of the season. There's no way they'll let us play Shrewsbury away back to back in effect. I could be wrong. We could be going Shrewsbury, but
A lot of it we
that
do
was
with
the first thing
policing.
I thought.
I think also Brighton
Yeah.
Pride is the 2nd and 3rd of August, so a lot of policing obviously will get. I think a lot of it's
Oh,
do.
here we go.
Done your
I just
digging.
googled it quickly, so I think that
I'm getting
a
excited now,
combination of those
Louis.
two
I
things.
like an away game first game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I remember our very first game in the Football League, Port Vale away. I remember reading, and I appreciate we're going back nearly 15 years, but I remember reading we were always going to play away on the first game of the season when Brighton were penciled in at home. They deliberately made
Yeah.
it. So that was the basis of my theory. But if Brighton Pride Parade is on that same weekend,
Oh,
then
I
I'd
think
be
you
very
got a
surprised
great
if we're at
shout
home,
there.
which works out quite well. I think I don't mind being away first game of the season. It tends to be. I mean, at least it's not going to be Carlisle away, which we seem to always get on the first game of the season
I
for
remember that.
two or
Right.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shrewsbury's not exactly close. If that is, I mean,
But some of the fixtures that we do know about though is our pre-season friendlies. So we are playing 8 of them. Firstly, Hearts out in Spain, which I'm gutted is behind closed doors. Then we've got Three Bridges, East Grinstead, Dagenham and Redbridge all the way. Portsmouth at home, the Southampton 11 behind closed doors, and then Crystal Palace at home to kind of finish that pre-season schedule. Any of those games you're looking forward to, Sam?
I do like the home games against the big teams. We play Palace quite regularly. They always bring a strong squad down. You get a good gate. Interesting, it's Friday night. I think the kids are off school by that point, so hopefully that will still mean a good gate. Portsmouth as well. I think they'll bring a good team because again, not too dissimilar standard. Then they'll bring a fair few fans as well. I like local away games. I think it's good. It's good to do right by Three Bridges and East Grinstead and get them some funds. Obviously, there's a couple of games behind closed doors. Not too sure if people want to trek to Dagenham. Is Dagenham on Tuesday night?
Yeah,
Right?
Tuesday
Yeah,
night.
I'm not sure too
15.
sure if we want to do that. I remember going to Dagenham loads when we played in the league, and no respect to Dagenham, lovely place, but not really for a friendly on Tuesday night. Didn't we play with Ebbsfleet or Aldershot a couple of years ago as well?
Yeah.
I think on Tuesday night. Yeah, not massive game, but yeah, it'd be good to support local teams, and then you've got 2 big games as well at home, and then obviously Carabao Cup will be the after our second league game. Carabao Cup will be then, so it'll be interesting to see who we get. Obviously in the Southern draw, no, it won't be a Premier League team, but lots of Cardiff will be in there, and Luton will be in there, so some big teams.
Well, it could even be a National League team this season because, what is it, first and the top two teams in the National League or something like that?
No. So they're doing a preliminary round of 4 teams, 2 games. So it's the 2 teams
okay.
got promoted from National League.
That's it.
So Barnet and Oldham are then facing Accrington and Newport. See who goes through. So they were National League team last season. Yeah.
Similar to what we had against Wimbledon, our first season in the Football League,
yes,
because
absolutely.
Birmingham were in the Europa League but had been relegated because they'd won the League Cup. The way it works out, Birmingham had won the League Cup the season before, but ended up in the Championship after getting relegated. So because they had European football, so it's a similar situation to what's happened this season.
Yeah, I
That's
love
ended
the
up.
Carabao Cup as a lower league fan. I know some Premier League team fans hate it, but I like it for several reasons. One, you get to play in it really early doors in the summer, and that gives managers opportunities to play different players. Secondly, you've got a good chance of getting a big team. Obviously, we beat Fulham only a couple of years ago at home. We've played lots of Stoke as well. So and I like the fact that you if you just win one game, you're likely to get a big team. Obviously, we've beaten Mill away on penalties. So, yeah, I really like the Carabao Cup because then you have to wait to kind of November for the FA Cup and then you don't get any big names until January. And then, so, yeah, I do really like Carabao Cups. Hopefully, we can have a nice little run in that and get you want to get into the third round, really, when the teams that are in Europe enter.
Yeah, definitely.
Albeit and then it's not. I don't think it's regionalised after third or fourth round. So obviously we played Burnley away, didn't we, a couple of years ago as well, and did ourselves proud that night as well. So I do like the Carabao Cup, so it'd be good to find out who we get. I mean, imagine getting Mill at home on an August night. So I mean,
Yeah.
or even
No,
like,
we've had some great games in the League Cup. I mean, we've gone to Palace, we've gone to Norwich. We obviously went to Brighton last
Even
season. You
Brighton
mentioned
last season.
we had some great home games as well, like beating Stoke on penalties, and did we beat Norwich at home as well? Well, I feel like
Yeah,
we've
we
beat.
did.
Yeah.
That was the same season. I think we've beaten Swansea at home as well in the past. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. But yeah, we
Reading
had
as
some.
well, maybe when they're a decent club.
I thought we had them in the FA Cup for sure. Nicky Adams scored. Nicky Adams scored in like the first couple of minutes or something. Yeah, but we had some absolutely unbelievable games. Obviously, the crowds are smaller. It's not as much of a draw as the FA Cup or when you get a big FA Cup team. But we've had some great nights in the League Cup. So it is a competition I'm quite fond of. Same as you, Sam. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Louis, your knowledge of Crawley is really, really good. It's so good, in fact, that you could volunteer as a here to helper on match days at Crawley Town Football Club. So
An
they're looking for
excellent
some
segue.
volunteers.
Well done.
Thank you. They're looking for some volunteers to help on the match day. I think as part of it, you would get a season ticket and you'd be allowed in 5 minutes before the start of the game or something like that. I know quite a few clubs do it. I've seen some comments on social media about why are you using volunteers, just free labour, etc. But I mean, I think if people are willing to volunteer to do that, then you can't exactly turn down that offer, and you get a season ticket for free as well, which I think's a pretty good deal. So you'd be saving what, £300 or however much a season ticket is nowadays. Sam, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a good idea or just a way of getting some free labour?
No, I think it's a good idea. I understand the criticism, but we have got lots of new stuff around the ground, whether it be the fan zone or lots of away fans come in. We have a new club shop where people might need directing to. I don't see the harm in it. I mean, there's 4,000 regular Crawley match going fans, right? Even if they get 20 people who do it, that's nothing, is it? And they do it on a schedule or whatever. So, and look, some people will have time to do it because they have weekends off or don't have any commitments. Great, absolutely. Why not help your local football team? Some people won't want to because they want to have a pint in Red's Bar or their local pub before the game. Each to their own. Do you know what I mean? So everyone will have their own choice. I mean, obviously, Reuben, your volunteers chair of the C2A, so kind of you do your bit. And each to their own. So I think, yeah. Why not ask the question? What's the harm? If they get 10 people, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, goes back to we are a small club. We have done in the past relied on people giving up their time for free, voluntary, for whatever role they've put themselves forward for. So formalising it a little bit, and yeah, I don't think it's taking advantage of people. You know, if people are happy, you know, I mean, we spoke about Ken at the start of the podcast and how much time and energy he dedicated to the club on a voluntary basis over the years. So, and the people loved him for that, and he's, you know, same with Carol, all the hours she put in as a volunteer with the mascots. So this just a way of sort of formalising that and getting more people on board to do that it's probably one of the club's better ideas in recent times. Yeah.
Alan Harper runs the coach travel to away games for how many years now? 20, 25 years. He doesn't get paid, does it for the love of it. That people wouldn't be able to go to away games who like to travel by coach, wasn't people like Alan. So, it's a good idea. People can laugh a bit. There's more important things to worry about. How about the club need to file their accounts, don't they, Reuben?
Yeah, they do. They've got till the 29th of June, I believe. So it was 3 months previous, but I think they did something about changing the date in order to then allow for the accounts to be released 3 days later. So we have been in Preston, be in touch with Preston, to say that these need to be done by the 29th, because there is the risk of potentially not being able to register any players until they've been filed, and potentially other issues. I mean, I think this is similar to where the likes of Reading, Sheffield Wednesday all started, was delay of accounts. And we can see where they are now. So be eager to push the club to get them released.
And I think it's important not to scaremonger because worst case, you're right, we could be in breach of VFL Regulation 16 and be in a transfer embargo, which obviously no one wants to be in. But also, I don't understand why it's taken so long to file the accounts. What is it that's stopping the club? So it's not a huge task. They've had a long time, months and months to do it. One of only 2 EFL clubs not to do it. So my concern is, one, is that the operational side not functioning correctly off the pitch to get them done? Or is there something going on in the background that financially is a concern? And you've got to remember, some fans won't care about the accounts. Fine, each their own. All they care about is who plays on a Saturday or what beer's on sale in Reds. Fine. But when you've been a fan and you've been around long enough to have nearly gone to administration or owners who haven't paid bills on time, etc., it is a concern. It raises an eyebrow. And I hope there's nothing untoward to worry about, but who knows, and why is it taking so long? So hopefully the accounts will be fine. Also, there's lots of rumours as well that maybe the shift in leadership at WAGMI is changing to the Cleary brothers. Is it something to do with that? And they're looking at who's going to pay the debt from last year? Because look, the accounts aren't going to be pretty. It's because we're football league club punching above our weight in the football league. So there's going to be massive debts to offset. And maybe is it who's paying for that? I don't know. But yeah, obviously there's been talk from Ryan Gilbert that he'd come on the podcast. 3 months, we're still waiting. Hi Ryan, we're not that scary. You're the one that said you'll come on. Let's do it before the first game of the season. Otherwise, people are going to be wondering why, and if you've got something to hide. So yeah, I'm calling you out. Let's get you on the pod, mate. Let's have a nice chat. You're a nice fella. Spoke to you a few times. Is it because the Cleary brothers' leadership change isn't happening? Is that going to involve the new CEO? Is it going to be a Cleary brother? Are they going to bring someone in from WAGMI, external, internal? Who knows? So yeah, lots of it, if buts and maybe, but it'd be a disaster of transfer embargo because we haven't pulled our finger out and done the account. So yeah, not scaremongering, but we haven't followed the process. Let's follow the process. Let's get it right. Let's get some players in the building, and let's get Ryan on the pod.
Yeah. Well, if money is an issue, then 3 people will be able to help our 3 latest Reds rollover draw winners. In joint second place is, I feel bad saying this, is somebody called Reuben Watt. The other joint second place is Cole Pearce, and in first place was Susan Wheeler. So congratulations to all those winners, and I promise you, this was not planned for me to say this and for me to be a winner. It was all completely random, wasn't it, Louis?
Yeah, my heart sunk when it landed on you, actually, because I thought, we've got some explaining to do now. But yeah, I can assure everybody that the process is completely new. It's a chance. I don't rig it so that Reuben wins. I think this is the second time you won fairly recently as well. You got, so it's not. Maybe it's a few months ago now, but yeah, I promise we've got nothing to gain from rigging it, because if it came out that it was rigged, we'd be in a lot of trouble and we'd lose all the entrants. But yeah, thank you to everyone who entered, and yeah, we appreciate the support on that.
Yeah, I think one thing, going back to the club's finances, some positives. I think we're going to Spain on a pre-season tour, because I think we could have quite easily just stayed at the glamorous Broadwood Stadium, and also the fact that we are looking for somebody to be head of performance analysis at the club, which is a new role that they're doing. And they've put in the post about it, that they're looking for this is a new exciting job role their club is looking to hire for as we look to achieve our goal of promotion back to League One.
I wonder though, Reuben, I wonder if maybe Scott said, I'll have one less coach and we'll have him or her. So maybe that's when, from a budget point of view, they're going to use the budget elsewhere, which fine. I'd trust Scott wholeheartedly to make the right decisions. So maybe they're using budget for that, who knows?
Yeah. Well, before we shut up shop for this podcast, the Crawley Town Supporters Alliance are on the lookout for some new board members. So if you want to join the CTSA board, then do take a look at our website or our social media to get in touch. And we'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about what you may contribute to the board. And Sam, I don't know if you wanted to touch on the CTSA just briefly.
Yeah. Look, I think the CTSA, the Devil's Trust, has kind of had its critics over the years and had its supporters over the years, and people call it the critical friend, those who hold the club to account. Whatever you think is obviously your perception of the way the CTSA handle themselves. But the CTSA board have recently met and kind of decided on a strategy going forward, which I personally think is the right thing as well. And it'll be about asking the club clear questions around what they have committed to do and why they haven't done it. So rather than say, why haven't we bought a training ground, when, as an example, when the club haven't said they're going to, because each fan will have an opinion on where that money should go. We're going to say, you said this, you haven't done it, when are you going to do it? And it might be they've changed their mind on it. So, for example, you look at their opening statement in April 2022, they said that they would be, and I'm just going to get the quote up, because I think it's important we quote this word for word, because it's only fair that that's what we say. So, Wagner United also pledged a new era of unprecedented transparency and accountability to Crawley Town Football Club supporters in the Crawley community. So, over the 3.5 year spell, how have they done that? Have they changed that? Because we haven't heard a lot. We haven't heard a lot of we so recently. So, what's happening with that? And they also mentioned that opening statement that obviously Preston Eben were the board members at the time, and they'd announced the board members who were going to join the board after that. No one's ever joined the board since. So, who are Wagner United? Who sits on the board? Who is Jacob Martin? Who is Hunter Arell? What involvement does Ryan Gilbert have? Who are the Cleary brothers? Who is running our football club? And ultimately, a lot of people might say I don't really care because I just watch the team on a match day, but because I don't care who runs my local supermarket. But they've said that. They haven't done it, so why haven't they done it? They said they're going to talk about a multi-year plan. They said they were going to do a fan celebration event. They haven't done that. So it's just about... It's kind of what people do in politics, really, isn't it? When people stand for election, they say, I'm going to do this, going to do this, do this. And when they don't do it, people ask the questions. They say, why haven't you done that? So the CTSA said, going forward, that's what we're going to do. We're going to say, you've said this, why haven't you done it? What's happening? And then go back to the members and report. Because everything else is opinion, really, isn't it? Everyone else is opinion. People can say, why are you spending the money on going to Spain? That's their choice. That's as mad to us. It's their business. They can choose what they do. But when they're saying they're going to do stuff and they don't do it, I think that's when the CTSA step in and ask that question, especially when it maybe has negative impacts on the brand or the club and going forward. So, yeah, anything you want to add on that, Reuben?
No, I don't think so. I think you've covered that off nicely. So, Sam, Louie, thanks very much for joining me on this podcast. We'll catch, hopefully, you all at our X Spaces on Thursday when we discuss the fixtures. We might try and get your thoughts on players that you want to see come in. I mean, there's been rumours that we are trying this Jake Tabor from Amersham or somewhere like that. Although I've heard he's on trial at multiple clubs. So it'd be good to get your thoughts on all of that. So
we may have a few new signings to talk about by then. Who knows?
Oh yeah, hopefully that is the case. And some photos while we try and play Guess Who from Who's That Try List. So thanks very much, Sam and Louie, and come on you Reds.
Come on you Reds.
Come on you Reds.